Hello students, today we are going to learn about the types of sentences, one of the very significant topic in English grammar. Actually, as we know, different types of sentences are there, especially the types of sentences based on the use of sentence. Means the purpose and meaning both are very important in the types of sentences. But today we are going to learn about the types of sentences, especially the types of sentences which based on structure and meaning. So as we know, there are three most important types of sentences: simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. But nowadays, we have one another type of sentence, especially used in different types of creative writings, and that is compound complex or complex compound sentence. Before we discuss about the types of sentences, we should know some very basic things about the sentence. I mean to say the basic elements of every individual sentence. As we know, in the sentence, we have two most important elements: subject and predicate. And most of the students are able to understand or able to identify the subject and predicate in the sentence. We have one example here on the screen. Mary plays tennis. A very simple sentence. It is simple present tense. In this sentence, we can easily identify Mary is the subject in this sentence, and the remaining part, including verb and object, plays tennis. That is the predicate in this sentence. So the most important thing, we should able to understand the subject and predicate in the sentence. Now, let me tell you something about simple sentence. The concept of simple sentence. A simple sentence has one subject and one predicate, and that is the most important thing about this simple sentence. Actually, in the simple sentence, we need to identify some very basic things. We need to understand some very basic things about simple sentence. Now, just you need to observe how a simple sentence is constructed, or how a simple sentence modified by the individual speaker. Just take the example of this sentence. We went to St. John yesterday. This is a sentence. In this sentence, we can easily understand pronoun we is the subject and remaining part is the predicate in this sentence. If we just try to classify the minute details in the sentence, then we understand we, that is pronoun and subject in the sentence. Went, as we know, it is the second form of the verb. The first form or the root form of the verb is go. So it is the second form, and that is absolutely the verb in the sentence. And to St. John, that part actually that is the prepositional phrase. But for our understanding, we can use to say in the sentence, we, that is the subject, and remaining part went to St. John, that is the complete predicate in the sentence. So the concept of simple sentence is very easy. We have one subject and one predicate in the sentence. One another most important thing is there. You should understand, in the simple sentence, we have one finite verb. Listen again. In simple sentence, we have one finite verb. And the simple sentence is always able to complete its own meaning. Yes, the simple sentence is always able to complete its own meaning, and that is the most important thing. So this is again that same example. Mary plays tennis, means we have one subject, that is Mary, and one predicate in the sentence, that is plays tennis. Sometimes we have compound subjects in the simple sentence. For example, Tom and Mary play tennis. Tom and Mary play tennis. Both the nouns Tom and Mary joined by coordinative conjunction, and that is and therefore we call it compound subject. You need to listen carefully and then understand how the simple sentence construct in a different ways. Sometime in simple sentence, we have compound subject as well as compound predicate also. For example, Tom and Mary play tennis and swim. So this is another example of simple sentence, and we used again coordinative conjunction to join the subject and two different predicates. So such types of examples we have for simple sentence. Now we are just try to learn the concept of simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. From the very next lecture, we will have more discussion about sentence transformation, means how we can transform one type of sentence into another type. It is also called synthesis, means simple sentence can transform into compound and compound can transform into complex type of sentence. So let me tell you something about compound sentence. When we discussed about simple sentence, the most important thing is we have one subject and one predicate in simple sentence. And what about compound sentence? Actually, the type of sentences and clauses both are very important topics in English grammar, and they are just like two sides of a coin. Means we are not able to learn type of sentences without understanding the clauses, and we cannot learn clause without knowing anything about the type of sentences. So both the things are intermingling with each other, and we should understand the minute thing about types of sentences and clauses. So the basic thing is, where there is simple sentence, we have only one clause, and that is main clause. Okay, so three most important thing about simple sentence. In the simple sentence, one subject, one predicate, one finite verb, and only one clause, and that is main clause. Now, let me tell you something about compound sentence. A compound sentence has more than one part that can stand alone. When I deliberately used to say one part that can stand alone, it means independent clause. And as we know, main clause also called independent clause, and independent clause also called principal clause. So though different wordings are there, but all are same: main clause, independent clause, and principal clause. According to the name of independent clause, we can easily understand why we called it independent clause, because it can stand alone for the sake of meaning, and that is the most important thing. It can complete its own meaning, therefore it is independent clause. And there is one another type of clause, that is subordinative clause. It also called dependent clause. So we can easily understand the difference between dependent and independent. Someone that can stand its own, that is independent, and if the sentence cannot able to complete its own meaning, that is dependent clause. So definitely subordinative clause depend on main clause for the sake of completion of the meaning. Okay, so a compound sentence has more than one part that can stand alone, and that is the most important thing. Means two clauses are there, sometime more than two clauses are there, two and more than two clauses, but both the clauses or more than two clauses are independent clauses, main clauses. Means we have two independent sentences and both the sentences are independent clauses. They are simple sentences. Means the combination of two simple sentence, and the most important thing, independent clauses are connected by what? Connected by coordinative conjunctions. Sometime coordinative conjunctions, sometime conjunctive adverbs or semicolon. So that is the very basic information about compound sentence. This is the example of compound sentence. Read carefully. We went to St. John. We just take that previous sentence and extend it as a compound sentence. So we went to St. John and most of us danced all night. Read this sentence carefully again. We went to St. John and most of us danced all night. Most important thing is there. We went to St. John, that is another sentence, that is independent sentence, independent clause. And one another independent clause is there, and that is most of us danced all night. And both the independent clauses joined by one coordinative conjunction, and that is and. So if we try to classify that sentence, again we can understand in this sentence two different clauses are there. We, in the first sentence, we, that is subject, went verb, and to St. John, obviously prepositional phrase. And in the second sentence, before that we have coordinative conjunction. We used and there. Then most of us, this is the subject in this sentence, again danced, the second form of the verb, and all night, what we call modifying phrase, means again we have subject and predicate in the sentence, and both the clauses joined by coordinative conjunction. That is the most important thing. Okay, so this is what we call the use of coordinative conjunctions. Means in the first sentence we have subject and predicate, then and again subject and predicate. I am talking about the previous sentence. Okay, we have one another example, very simple example. Tom swims and Mary plays tennis. Again, both the sentences, both the clauses joined by and that is coordinative coordinative conjunctions. We have four most important coordinative conjunctions, and there is very famous trick to remember the name of these coordinative conjunctions. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. So just take the first letter from all the coordinative conjunction. We have one very famous word, and that is fanboys. So it is trick to remember all the coordinative conjunctions in a very simple way. So clause 1 is independent clause in the compound sentence, and second clause is also independent clause. Okay, definitely we can find comma before and in compound sentence. Okay, in the compound sentence, sometimes we need to use conjunctive adverbs. For example, moreover, however, otherwise, and therefore. Such types of conjunctive adverbs we have to use in compound sentences. This is the example of the use of conjunctive adverb in the sentence. Bob is handsome. We use semicolon there. Bob is handsome. Moreover, he is rich. Again, two independent clauses joined by semicolon and conjunctive adverb. So in this way also, we can create compound sentence. So semicolon before conjunctive adverb and comma after conjunctive adverb is essential, is important. Okay. Conjunctive adverbs are sometimes called floating. Read this line carefully. Floating adverbs because they can be positioned at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of the clause or end of a clause. So this is very important thing, that conjunctive adverbs sometimes called floating adverbs. Definitely, how we can use such types of conjunctive adverbs at the beginning of the sentence, middle of the sentence, or at the end of the sentence. So we have this example on the screen. Bob is handsome. Moreover, he is rich. The second type is Bob is handsome. He is moreover rich, or Bob is handsome. He is rich moreover. So in this way, we can use conjunctive adverbs in the sentence. With the use of semicolon also, we can modify or create compound sentence. This is one example of that. Tom has benefited from his exercise program. Semicolon. He is slim and energetic. So with the use of semicolon also, we can create compound sentence. So this is all about the basic things about compound sentence. Now, let's have some discussion about complex sentence. Why not we just learn the complex sentence with the comparison of two previous types. In the simple sentence, we have only one clause, that is the main clause. In the compound sentence, two or more than two clauses, and all the clauses are main clauses. But here in complex sentence, we have very different concept. Listen, a complex sentence has at least two parts. One that can stand alone and another one that cannot. Means definitely one is main verb and another one is subordinative clause. Means the one clause is main clause and another clause is subordinative clause. The part that cannot stand alone is linked to the rest of the sentence by a subordinative conjunction. Means in the compound sentence, we use coordinative conjunction, and in complex sentence, we use subordinative conjunction. Okay. So this is very important thing about complex sentence. Here we have one another example of complex sentence. Since my boyfriend and I wanted to have fun, we went to St. John yesterday. We use since, or the sentence previous, the first sentence started from since. Okay. So after the comma, we have we went to St. John yesterday. That is main clause, because we have one finite verb and it can stand alone. Therefore, it is main clause. And the first sentence, since my boyfriend and I wanted to have fun, that is subordinative clause, because it cannot stand alone without the second sentence. Okay. So in this sentence also, we have subordinative conjunction, since, then the sentence, and in the second sentence we have subject and predicate. Okay. So with the use of various types of subordinative conjunctions, we can create complex sentence. For example, some most common subordinative conjunctions are after, although, as, because, before, how, if, once, until, where, while, etc. So many subordinative conjunctions we can use there. Okay. This is one another example. Bob is popular even though he is ugly. Means this even though is also used as subordinative conjunction. And we can use that subordinative conjunction again middle in the sentence, the initiative part in the sentence, or at the end of the sentence. Okay. So this is quite enough for today's lecture. In tomorrow's lecture, we will have more discussion about compound complex sentence and some another examples of the type of sentences. Thank you.